As you talked about the word governments, the role of NDIS is typically placed on the Commonwealth government, but state governments have role to play in different states and territories, and that two parties, different entities trying to deliver a positive outcome for people with disabilities. How do you think the sector has evolved or will be evolving? Because earlier it was not run by the Commonwealth government, it was run by the state disability. Now it's centralized. How do you think is a good mix of the government's role to play to deliver a positive change?
That's the tricky thing, isn't it? Because the NDIS is part of the federal government, and then the state government has oversight over things like hospitals and even justice. Even in the justice system, there are disparities for people with disability. Then the federal government has Medicare and primary health. So there are a lot of disconnects, and these are actually some of the things that affect people with disability the most. When they can't get healthcare, when they can't get proper justice or transport or whatever. So how do we create a better flow between all those things? I don't know. I don't know. But
what do you think it will be somewhere in between, not just primarily responsible of Commonwealth government, or is it somewhere between people sharing the load on the both sides? Because there's so many departments role to play, there's so many handovers, and so many, if the healthcare is the state-based, and health plays a very critical role, and as a default, the frontline care workers, in their head, or the back of the head, they think that if nothing is happening, if they don't have any solution in that moment of criticality, the last point of resort is ED, and it eventually lands up with healthcare in some way or form. So disability is an issue of healthcare, not, you can't segregate these two matters. So how does, I'm not talking solutions, but what should be the conversation around these things to make sure that hand-holding or hand-overing process across multiple entities, and whether they are state or Commonwealth, should not make a difference, how it should work?
Yeah. I mean, there are probably 1,000 different solutions that we can think of, right? Whether it be electronic, whether it be whatever. The problem is when we talk about different systems, like there are also politics that come into play. There are different ideologies, and when you have governments that don't necessarily agree with each other, I think it creates a problem. And even when we think about load sharing, then budgets come into place, and people fight for money and all this stuff. So I don't think the solutions are actually that complex. It's more the bureaucracy and the rest of it that's complex.